Oh, hello, pipe smokers. It's me, Mike, Tobacco Pipe Collectors. Today's video was a request from a TPC Facebook member, kind of a how-to. A lot of you guys that follow are longtime pipers and probably don't need this information, or if you just want to stick around and see how I do it, and plug some suggestions in too if you want. I'm smoking Orlick brown sliced, straight from Copenhagen, from my good friend Nikolai and the boys at the Danish Pipe Shop. If you haven't had it, you need to have it. You need to get some, because they're talking about not making it anymore, which would be a shame, because it's the best Orlick blend out, I think. Preference, remember. Smoking it out of my fantastic JSG poker from my good friend Jan. And today's pipe we'll be working on is a Barentini. It hasn't been smoked that much. It's the Amaretto. Good pipe. First question is often asked, how often do you clean your pipes? I have such a rotation that I just pull the stem and do a pretty good clean with pipe cleaners every smoke, because that pipe may sit for a few weeks before I smoke it again, so I don't want to leave it full of gunk for that time. If you aren't rotating your pipes as often, you're going to want to still do those cleans, but possibly not a deep clean as seldom as I. Maybe, I don't know, let's say 30 smokes. I'm just throwing that out there. I don't know, because 30 smokes takes me a long time on one pipe. That's good. So, I'll show you the tools of the trade. If you have to get into it, if it's been longer than 30 smokes, or you've got an estate pipe, these are old, but they're the most functional way of cleaning your cake without destroying your pipe. This doesn't need, it's got a perfect cake, so I don't need to use it, but even a beginner can use this without destroying their pipe. So, one of those, some Q-tips, a shank brush. I really like this shank brush. They got sent to me from Shigura in Japan. It's got a little round spot just to keep you from scraping up inside your pipe. Some of the shank brushes don't have that. You can find packages of them on eBay. Most pipe online shops will have these also. A bunch of pipe cleaners. I use Everclear and whiskey, and I'll tell you where I use them at different points of the process. Put them in a shot glass. Get you a glass of clean, warm water to clean off that shank brush in between cleans. Okay, so I think I've gone over all my tools. If you can't get your hands on a shank brush and you happen to have bristled pipe cleaners, they'll work. It just gets expensive. to go through that many pipe cleaners because it'll take a fair amount if you smoke your pipe a lot. And then when I'm done, one of my tricks to keep the shine and protect your stem, good old-fashioned olive oil. And I've been using the olive oil trick for a long time, and it leaves no residual. You don't want to get in a bowl. Under attack. Getting cold too. Whew. All right. So we'll get started into a normal pipe clean for me. It's not the only way. It's not necessarily the right way. Nobody can say it's the wrong way. It's just one of those things in pipe smoking. Another one of those, everybody has their way. Maybe pick from several different ones that you like and make up your own way. Piece of cake. Alright, so I'm going to take the stem off. And again, this is for some newbies and maybe some guys that have just gotten in the habit of cranking their stems that way. Always take your stem off in one direction, clockwise, all the way out. It's going to save you from oblonging the tenon and misshaping the shank. So spin in one direction, clockwise. That goes with all the drills and all that. So I've got the stem off. Everclear I use for the stem and the shank. Whiskey I use in the bowl, and I'll show you that exactly. So I'm dipping my shank brush in the Everclear. Do it upside down. You do not want to get this hard of an alcohol or the whiskey on the grain, outside grain of the pipe, or on your stem. It will almost oxidize instantly. So I always hold it upside down, come in from the bottom. That way, if it gets on anything, it's just your tenon. So I'm going to go up just till you pop out the top. And this is a little bit bigger shank brush than I usually. That little white ball won't poke through the top, but that's easy. So I run that up there several times. Yeah, like I said, this one hasn't been smoked much, if at all. That'd normally come out dirty. You'd rinse it off in the water, bounce it off on something, do it again as needed. When you're done and it's coming out fairly clear, always run a dry pipe cleaner up through there to get that alcohol out of there so it doesn't come dripping on something that you don't want it to. And as you noticed, I couldn't get the shank brush through the draw hole, so I'll take a pipe cleaner, dip it in the Everclear, and carefully go in there and clean out all that gunk that will get stuck up in here. And then flip around and use your dry cleaner again. Alright, so there's a clean stem. Now we'll move on to the bowl and shank. So I'll start again, Everclear on your shank brush, upside down again, or kind of flat. Take some passes through that shank. Spin your brush clockwise. The shank brush is almost too big for this pipe. But spin it clockwise. It's coming out clean. Wish I had a dirtier pipe to do an example on. Run your dry pipe cleaner up it. And then here is where your Q-tips come in. This saves you several pipe cleaners, and that's cheaper than a bunch of pipe cleaners. Dip it in the Everclear. Go up in the ferrule there. Just clean that out good. You get a lot of gunk buildup right there. Clean that out good. Man, I cleaned that pipe really well last time. Then I'll take the same pipe cleaner I've been drying with, fold it in half, go in there and dry up the alcohol. Clean pipe cleaner, bend it over your finger. If you had to do a ream, you've done that already. You'll go through there, dust it out with a clean pipe cleaner, blow it out, make sure the dust's out. Then you'll take a clean pipe cleaner, dip it in the whisk, upside down, and go through there and just give that bowl now you're probably better off going this way so it doesn't come out on the rim. Go through there and give it a couple good rounds with, and you don't have to use the liquors I'm saying either. You can choose tequila or vodka. Usually a higher proof alcohol I like to use for the shank and the stem. Just a reminder to be careful not to get it on your stem or the briar. So get a dry pipe cleaner. I usually use the same one. That's the one I just bent in half to go up the ferrule. Now I'm using it to go into the bowl and just dry it up a little. You don't want that running around. Run some up here. A lot of times, to keep the Everclear out of the bowl, I'll stuff a paper towel in there as I'm doing the work on the shank. Already taste the difference. Okay, next thing, another Q-tip. And saliva. Nothing cleans the rim of your bowl. And do this every time you do a deep clean. I do it every time I smoke the pipe. I'll take a pipe cleaner, bend it in half. It's going to keep your rim from blackening up because it's a lot easier to get it now than it is after it's caked on. It's not impossible, but it's a lot easier. And there, takes that off. Let it dry. Then I'm going to reassemble pipe, put it back on the same way you took it off. Spin it clockwise. Looks good. Move some of this stuff around. Now, this is a part I don't know how many people use. I've used it for a long time. It's been very successful for me. Olive oil. And sometimes I use olive oil more often than just during a deep clean. Get some olive oil on your hand, a little bit on your finger, a little bit goes a long way. And get it bowl, shank, stem. It's a natural protectant against UV on this stem to keep it from oxidizing. This is an old pipe. I brought this one back with olive oil and a Dremel tool. And then I'll put a little bit around the rim. Careful not to get it into the bowl. I'll usually let it set for a couple minutes and soak in. It doesn't soak in far. It just personal preference, I guess. So I'll let that sit for a little while usually. Microfiber cloth works really well for this part. Just do a light buff. You want to leave some residual oil on that. So just buff off that extra oil. And you've got a very shiny, clean pipe. Alright, now, another secret I use, if you're trying to get rid of a ghost flavoring, or a residual flavoring from going from a, let's say, a strong English to an aromatic, or the vapor, or what, just Virginias, whatever, you'll get that ghost flavoring a lot. My trick, especially if you have pipes that you can set aside just for a specific type of tobacco. Let's say this one's actually an English. So I would take a nice English and I would stuff the bowl, not as tight as you would to smoke. So drop it in there, stuff it in, it doesn't need to be tight, and just let that sit for 24 hours. It's going to soak up the moisture in the bowl, and it's going to season that bowl again. You do the same thing with an aromatic, same thing with Virginia. Whatever you're going to use in that pipe, if you want to season it to that tobacco, it's a little secret I use, and it works really, really well. So, that's TPC's version of a deep clean that you will find out as you're smoking how often you need to do it. If you're getting some sour smokes, you're not enjoying it as much, it's time for a deep clean on your pipe. Just do it. I mean, that took me 17 minutes, and that was me flapping my lips for a bunch of the time. One more thing to invest in, those of you that have Petersons or anything else that has silver, is a jeweler's rag. Easiest way to buff your silver. You don't put anything on it. You just take this rag. It's already got stuff on it. I use it on my rings. But it will take that band and shine it as good as new, if not better. Any jewelry store has them. That's where I find mine. I don't know where else to send you to look for them. Jeweler's rags. Worth their weight in gold, I'll tell you. And that's it. That's how I do it. If you have any more questions, put them in the comments. Hopefully that covered the couple guys that had questions on how I did that. And maybe even some of the more advanced pipers learned something. I know I learn something new every day. Every video I watch. Okay, well, it was nice talking to you guys again. Hopefully you got something out of the video. It's running kind of long, I apologize. We'll do this. We'll say peace, pipe smokers. Sweet smokes.